All right, so here we are today on day 3 of daily uploads, and we're doing an investigation into shield meta at AIC. We're going to look at the rule set, combat, and construction of shields at Adventures in Cardboard. And here are 6 different ones that I've made over the years. Some of these stretch back like, 10 years almost? Yeah, I think about 10 years. So I've had a very long history with AIC and a very long history with shields because it was the first class I ever tried doing. Shield and sword. And I'm still here now, but lots of refinements have been made along the way, and I'll tell you about some of them as we go on. So, what are AIC shields? Essentially, at Adventures in Cardboard, we're turning cardboard into other things. I mean, that kind of is so obvious that I shouldn't even say it, but that's what we're doing. And there are different types of things that we're turning them into, and these different types have different attributes. The 3 big type attributes are armor, shield, and sword. Armor is, and so different layers of protection are associated with these different things because they have different properties. So this is where a shield fits into those 3 layers. Obviously, so I have a wonderful little diagram over here. You have the skin layer, which is just lightly shaded or cross-hatched. Your skin protects against literally nothing. Anything in the hit zone is free game. Pretty much everything can take it out, from daggers to swords to nerf bullets to arrows to mana balls. Everything goes through. Then the first type of thing that you can turn cardboard into is armor. Any cardboard that is resting on top of your body, that's just sitting on you, is armor. All of your armor can protect against any type of regular sword, both Vanguard or one hand, and against basic arrows if you have a helmet on. Of course, if your armor doesn't fully cover your body and the arrow tags part of your skin or a sword tags through a chink in your armor, then of course you're tagged like normally. But if someone tags you on the cardboard that is touching your skin, the sword will not penetrate. You'll be saved by the armor. Shields are kind of like armor for your skin. Shields protect against daggers. Daggers are one of the greatest counters to armor, probably, well, the original counter to armor, really. And shields are able to protect those. If you don't have a helmet, your shields will also protect you against arrows, and I believe in some versions they'll protect against mana balls, but not all. There was a particular encounter I had with a very feisty mage who would throw mana balls at me, and on reflex I'd deflect them like I'd deflect an arrow with my shield, but that week fireballs went through shields, and so I just ended up killing myself a bunch of times over and over and over again because I kept deflecting mana balls with my shield. But swords deflect everything, so you can turn the same piece of cardboard into a piece of armor, a shield, or a sword. Swords will deflect pretty much everything with a couple of relic exceptions. So someone is attacking you with another sword, you could either be blocked by armor or a shield, or you can deflect it with your own sword. Someone's attacking you with a dagger. It can't be deflected by armor, but you could block it with your shield, or you could block it with your sword. Now, if someone's throwing a mana ball at you, you can't block it through your armor. It goes through armor. You can't block it with your shield. It goes through shields, but you can cut it down with a sword. And so there's 3 different things you can turn them into, but there are heavier and heavier limitations on the dimensions of each one. Armor can cover your entire body. Anywhere you want to put it, it can go. I am very well experienced in this. I haven't done the bottoms of my feet or the back of my neck yet, but literally every single other place I am fully encased in armor. But my shield is capped at a maximum size, and that particular size has changed throughout the years, so this is more rule stuff. The only thing that other people care about is just how big your shield is, the dimensions of the outside face of it. So like how big that thing is. And in the past, like in the way past, it used to be knee to shoulder limit. So the shield could be however tall your knee to your shoulder was, and I think it was shoulder to shoulder width, essentially. So they were all tall rectangles. That's where this type of shield came in. I think this was wider than my shoulders, but it was like 40 inches tall from bottom to tip, because that's how long the distance from my knees to my shoulders was at that age. Then after a while, because we had some very tall people and some very short people having very short swords, at certain bands it was changed to be 36 by 36, so a 36-inch square. I think all of these are smaller than it, but this was that sort of same rule era. And then it was marked down again to be 30 by 30. I think both of these two, this white one and the black one, are actually the same size, and they were both 30 inches by 24 inches. So pretty small as shields go, because they could be another half a foot tall, and they weren't at the time. But now at some camps, for really little kids, they made it even smaller. And so now the maximum shield size is 24 by 24, 24 squared. And so this little itty bitty shield, my latest one, is the smallest shield I've ever used in combat. Well, I actually haven't used it in combat yet, but one I intend to use in combat. And it's 24 inches long by 21 inches tall. It is kind of tiny in comparison to the 40-inch one. But yeah, it's just where the shield meta is. It's where the rules have gone, where the meta has changed to. And that's where we're at now, and that's the shield I use. So, now you know what they are, or what they are according to the rules. Now you got to know how to make them. And so essentially there are two big sort of decisions you have to make when making a shield. And it's what the actual plate is, and then how you attach yourself to the plate. The plate is essentially one or more layers of cardboard, because I mean you can't have a shield that isn't cardboard, and some amount of layers. And then my recommendation is that when you have these layers, you put them cross-face to each other. So the ribbing inside each layer of cardboard is perpendicular, or at least not parallel to one underneath it. So you're essentially making plywood cardboard. The more you deal with really thick or multiple layers of cardboard together, you'll discover that it's really pretty much just like wood. There was one project I did a couple years ago that I was rolling up sheets of cardboard into tubes, like really, really tightly. And whenever I had to cut them, we just used a lumber saw. There was actually a different one for a castle where instead of a lumber saw, we were using a table router, like an articulating power saw to cut through it, just because it's pretty much just wood. It's wood and glue. It's the same thing as plywood. And it makes your shields really, really strong. If you have at least 2 layers, all of my shields are pretty much 2 layers, but you can't add more for more strength. There was one kid, Rohan, who he had been a little bit abused by some other angry campers, and they had battered in his shield, and he didn't have any sticks inside, which I'll get into later. And so his solution was just add more layers and tape the edges better. And so after a couple of years of using the exact same shield, he ended up with like 7 layers of cardboard or something on his shield. It was super heavy, really, really thick, but all the dents in it from people not checking their swings or from pulled back arrows at like point blank range were all just covered by other layers of cardboard. Made it really heavy, but also really protective. So that's another solution for shields. And then the last one, the one that I use in pretty much all my shields dating back to even my earliest one, is I put sticks inside them. Oh, I think you can actually see the crease mark on this. So essentially, the way that I've done my last couple, these couple were different, but I do a cross or an arrow like pointing towards the top offensive corner. I'm a lefty, of course, so that's the strap and that's the actual handle. And so I'm pointing the direction where the leading edge of the shield will go. So the top and the leading edge are both reinforced, and then the bottom is not for weight reasons. And then there's cross bracing across to keep the thing intact. But essentially, to keep it from collapsing or bending, there's sticks inside. Bamboo's obviously the best choice, really. But sometimes in a pinch, I've used other sticks, just really thin ones, though, to put in there to provide a little bit more support so the shield doesn't just crack and bend. So, yeah. Essentially, if I was to make a new shield, which I did actually very recently, do 2 layers cross-face with a arrow pointing toward the lead edge of different types of sticks, either bamboo or other. Then, this is my most recent shield. Arm attachment points are the other big choice you have to make when designing a shield. There are sort of 3 actual like techniques, but really there are only 2 good ones in my opinion. And well, no, in my opinion, there's only one good one. The other one is popular but weird, and I'll talk about it, but I don't recommend it. So there's strap shields, and then there's bossed central handle shields. I think there's actually a name for these, but I think kite shield might be the name. I didn't actually bother to look it up. I just got somebody to send me a photo of one, and I traced out and put it here. But it is a shield where there's a blown out little portion, so like a bowl, a cup kind of, on the outside of the shield, so that you can run a stick straight through it, and then you hang onto the stick, and that's your only attachment point to the shield. I don't like this at all. I've used them in Killmeisters. I've like practiced with them just sort of for fun. I really, really, really don't like them, like using them in or out of armor. Like I just don't, you don't have the level of control that you can get with a strap and a handle. So I do understand that having a flexible strap is worse than having a hard connection point. So all of the, I'll get in. I actually have a bunch of the photos of the handles of all these shields because I have them all in my basement. Of how to connect these hard handles to two plates of shield. This is a very important thing. This handle is raised like 1.5 inches off the surface of the shield because I have a little bit of bulk armor underneath it, and it's where my fist likes to curl around it to really give it strength. And then a plasticor or cardboard simple strap over so that your arm is connected to the shield across 2 points, one for control and the other for stability. If you have no stability and you try to move your shield, the shield will definitely move, but it will also not stop moving. If you have a strap on it, you just have this wonderful, wonderful level of stability, but you still have all of the offensive control ability that you do with a bossed shield, but you actually can control it and use it in serious combat other than just like playing around with it, in my opinion. I know some of the HEMA people will get mad at me, and I respect your arguments that you'll make in the comments, and I'll maybe read them. I don't know. But I vastly prefer strap shield. So if you're going to make one, I recommend 2 layers, cross face with sticks, and do this. A strap and a hard handle. So now that you know kind of what they are, and I've talked a little bit about how to fight with them, I'm essentially going to give my opinion based off my experience. I've been fighting for 10 years, and I've fought with all different sorts of shields, very lightly with these. So, but I'm going to tell you how I think they should be used in different scenarios. And some of the HEMA people might get mad at me because, 400 years of experience or 400 years of history to draw on, and I only have 10. But like, what's what? A 40th? That's not so bad. Anyway. Well, no. Shields have been used since like the 11th century, so maybe more like 900 years. Whatever. No, 1/90th. Still more than 1%. Well, shields haven't been used. I digress. Anyway, so essentially, you use them different ways depending on different situations. I think most tools are like that. And essentially, there are 3 different types of situations that they can be used in. 1v1s, 1v-manys, or shield walls, or many v manys, essentially. In 1v1s, your shield can be, well, really in all of these except for the shield wall, the shield should not be thought of as just another piece of your armor that protects more. Because that's really not what it is. It is a shield. It is a handheld tool that allows you to attack other people. It is not a stationary piece. If you want just a big square on your arm, then you shouldn't have to hold on to it. You should be able to hold another thing in that arm, and then it should just be a piece of your armor. A shield is a tool that allows you to get openings in the other person, like a very skilled person with a Vanguard could do, but shield is just better because it also provides protection against other things like daggers. And so when you're in a 1v1, you kind of, this is a little bit of a janky posture here. I just hand drew this. But you have a shield in front with sort of the lead edge pointed towards your opponent, and your sword is behind your shield. And you use your shield to sort of engage with them, engage with either their shield or their sword, and to eventually catch them off guard. You actuate your shield to slide away their weapon from you, and then you stab forward with your sword to go for an attack. The shield isn't just there to, like, sit there. If someone attacks you, you move your arm and you change where the shield is to change how to defend. Really, really good shield people can just pretty much walk backwards and move their shield and pretty much be safe from any sort of onslaught, from any sort of armed opponent. Of course, the better they are, the more faster backwards you have to go. But shields are crazy, crazy good defensive tools. They're not defensive walls. And this gets even more prevalent when you are 1v-manying. I have a bunch of Killmeister experience. I've won a couple. And the most effective way of taking on 1v-manys, so much more than Vanguard. If you're fighting with Vanguard, they're just going to tag team you and you're just going to die. But if you're fighting a 1v-manys, doing this, where you put your arms out, you have your shield one direction and your sword the other direction, and essentially what you're doing is spinning and scanning. And whenever someone runs up to engage with you, you use your shield to deflect their initial blow, and then you side or you back swipe them. You tag them across the back or the back of the legs or the butt or wherever with your sword. So it's a two-pronged attack, but the shield is there. It can be used, or you can use a sword in place of a shield, but the shield is really better because if you miss their first dagger with your sword, you're kind of just screwed if they have two, which they should, because you should always carry multiple daggers. But this kind of tag team maneuver where you block with your shield and then slash with your sword and then stick out wide again and continue pivoting is extremely effective for armor titans. If you are hunkered down with your shield close in front of you, people are just going to come around behind you. But if you're standing wide, if you're oppressing the space, if you're getting yourself respect and distance, you're so much more protected. You're protected by distance more than your shield, and your shield is the thing providing you this distance. It's a little bit more tactical way of fighting, less than like a stupid way of fighting, but it is essentially the only way to be successful in 1v-manys, of which I've taken a lot. Okay, here's where we start getting narcissistic, but I sort of rate myself as a 1v4, 1v5 fighter. I think I can take on 5 average armored opponents and win against all of them. I've lost 1v4s or 1v3s in the past, but I've also won 1v5s in the past. So I think I'm about 1v4, 1v5 level. Of course, I've also scared away armies of like 20 people just by shouting at them. But with this tactic of the way you use your shield, you use it as an offensive thing. You can't shield bash, that's banned. But you use it as a tool to gain openings. You can really, really attack way more people than you should reasonably be able to with this particular method. And then the last, for 1v-many stuff, the last sort of a technique you can use is shield walls. Shield walls are unreasonably effective. It's kind of gross how well they work, actually. I've had some experience fighting in shield walls, since normally my team's on with the shields. They work really, really, really well. Of course, Killmeisters, you don't really get teams that large, but I've done a couple scrimmages. There was one in particular we did at Caponi Art Park in the big stadium. It's a huge multi-layered stadium with the layers are like huge rings that are like 20 feet wide or something. I think there are 4 of them. Essentially, we marched on the outermost ring and we formed in this huge wall and we just team wiped as like 30 shields in a row. We just walked around the outermost ring, and I think it was 90 people in the camp, and so we had about 30, and we killed every single other person. So we had 60 kills combined with like 2 losses, and the 2 losses weren't people in the shield walls. They were scouts that ran around trying to do flanking stuff and got surrounded and killed. So we pretty much wiped a scrimmage more than any other scrimmage has ever been wiped in history. The shield walls were really, 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 really good. And they don't all have to be the same size. In this little graphic they are. But literally just sort of the way you hold your shields sort of together in a mob with your swords barely peeking out so that then you can slide forward without resistance, get a tag if you're able, and then return back into your defensive position, defended from flanking by everyone else. It's crazy, crazy, crazy good for fighting. And with this, because you're controlling the amount of people that can come at you, you can pretty much take on almost unlimited amounts of people until you start getting surrounded to the point where it's like 1-on-4 for every single member. Then people will start to like, one of your shield guys will go for an attack and then get tagged in the arm just because there are so many people also there that there's not really a whole lot they can do. But besides like being quadruple outnumbered, you're able to take on some really crazy things with this particular formation. And that's kind of why they were historically used, because formations are really, really great. They're so much better than just fighting in a mob. Mob fighting is perhaps, ironically, one of the worst ways to fight in a group. Any other formation is better, and shield walls are one of the best. So, speaking of shields, here are a couple of different mine ones, or the grips of mine. From oldest to youngest, the very first shield I made, the big circle one, I started off with a loose grip and then a rubber tie strap. God, that was awful. It was so bad. The rubber tie was super loose. I slid around a bunch, and just with a flexible handle here, you just don't really have very much control at all. For the big arrowhead shield, I had 2 straps this time, a little bit more control, and now they were cardboard and duct tape, which is a large improvement over the rubber tie. But again, still this flexible strap. In my third shield, I think this is the quarter circle one, yeah. Again, 2 cardboard straps, and then first time a wood handle that has cardboard blocks underneath of it and secured by zip ties and duct tape. Super duper effective, and that's what all the rest of them are. Moving on, we switched to 1 thick strap and a little bit more of a tilted handle with these same blocks. Started adding maps in this one. And then this one, we have lots of maps, a much longer handle. And then again, this 1 wide single strap. And now for my latest shield, I have a little bit shorter of a handle, more of a return to these, and a single thin strap, because I really discovered that you don't actually need it to be that thick. And my arm armor has changed. There's more of an elbow joint now. And so I needed it to be a little bit thinner to accommodate that. But yeah, these are all the different ones I made. And here's the shield I used for the boss example. I really don't like this particular type of shield. You just don't have the same amount of control, in my opinion. Perhaps some very skilled people could use it, but my argument is always, if you're so skilled that you can use that well, you could use a regular one so much better. Like, it's just a better piece of equipment with more tech in it. Just the straps are just so good. They're so worth it. I'm sorry, but not strap handles. You want a hard handle, and then straps to give you that second control attachment point. Yeah. Oh, and then here's the fronts and back. So this is still in order of youngest to oldest. And the youngest one is the smallest, and these one I think are both the same size, like 30 by 24. Don't remember how big this one is, but I think it was 36 maybe. This one's like 40, and this is also pretty big. So we've generally gotten smaller and less material until we've gotten to just regular medium-sized handle and then a single thin strap. That's the lineage of my shield, both the fronts and backs. And that's it for me today. Thanks for stopping by for my 3rd daily upload. Here's a AIC. I think I've already used this one in a other video, but they still really cool artwork. I love this great sword here, and the Wraith or Dullahan or whatever. Well, Dullahan would have decapitated. Anyway, crazy cool mythical creature. AIC merch, bunch of shirt. I actually have this shirt, I think, and you can probably buy one or like it on their website, imagesofcardboard.com. They have an Instagram, Cardboard Adventures In, and they have a YouTube channel as well. You're on my YouTube channel, and my Instagram should be in my description if I remember to put it there. But thanks for stopping by and watching my 3rd daily upload. Thanks, and I'll see you tomorrow.